Today we got a really detailed video covering the Hellcat oil change, things like torque specifications, how tight should the oil filter be, and your usual how to take everything apart and put it back together again. I'm doing this on my 2018 Widebody Hellcat, but this will work the same for any narrow body Challenger Hellcat and even the Hellcat Charger. Although for the Charger, the maintenance pan removal technique may be a little bit different. This video is going to be quick and to the point, but a teeny bit longer than usual because my little man wanted to help out. And you can never be too young to get started on this stuff. Alright, we run the car, gotten it up to temperature for a bit. This way the oil flows a lot smoother. Got all our supplies, got 2 wheel chocks, 2 jacks, little premium mag pads from ZL1 add-ons. I've been using these for 4 years on the Scat. Not a single inch of damage to my pinch weld, so these are entirely worth the cost. They're about 35 to 40 bucks on Amazon. I'll have links in the description below, along with these jack stands that I've been using. These are nice flat bottoms. They have nice wide bottoms for this asphalt driveway that's seen better years. I also like how it's got a nice flat resting place, so you can rest those frame beams as well as the hockey pucks right on top of these without having to worry about the clamp version that I've never used on the Challenger. These are probably my favorite ones. There's 2 different ones. These are the shorter ones. They have another set that's much taller, but I kind of prefer these. I have both sets, but this one starts out shorter, so you can actually put it right to the base and still get into the car. Got this jack over at Harbor Freight. It is low profile, so it allows you to slide the jack under the car without having to drive up on wood, even with the premium mag pads underneath. Pick this up. I got a link to that on Amazon as well. This thing holds more than enough oil for the Challenger. I can't remember how many quarts it is, but it's a 15 quart, so you can actually do 2 oil changes if you really want to, but I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, let's talk about tools. We got the tool list right here. I just use a 1/4 inch drive on the maintenance pan bolts just in case, so I don't over tighten them. This is a 10 millimeter on a 1/4 inch drive. We've got a 3/8 drive with a 10 millimeter just in case those maintenance pan bolts are a little tight for the first time. And we have a 13 millimeter for the oil pan drain plug and an extension just to make things easier. Got a torque wrench because we are going to be torquing things down, so it makes things a little easier. Because don't forget the oil cooler and the oil drain pan or the oil drain plug is steel on aluminum, and basically, you know, harder metal on softer metal. You want to make sure you don't over tighten it. We've got these open end wrenches here. I don't know what size is going to work best, but this is to hold the flexible oil cooler lines while you tighten down the drain bolt. We got a Fumoto valve. This is the valve that we had on the Scat Pack. We're going to transfer it to the Hellcat. The guys over at Fumoto were kind enough to send me some replacement washers here, so we're going to put this on. So this allows me to do an oil change by pushing this forward and sliding it over, and the oil, nice and controlled, slowly drains out of here very easily. As you can see, the straight through. Hello. Great product, very happy. Probably should have gotten one with a tube. They have ones with little extensions that go out of the back, and then you can basically put that into a tube. But I mean, really, it flows out nice and controlled. And I'll give you a good display of this when I drain out the engine one last time. Got a funnel. All right, so you need 7 quarts of oil, 6.5 to 7. I usually put in 6.5, and then I give it a run, give it a measure, and then we kind of fill as needed. Oil and filter choice is a very touchy subject. A lot of people freak out because they like these specialty oils, and this is one of those things where when I first got the Scat Pack 4 years ago and I did my first oil change, Pennzoil Ultra Platinum was the only one that met the Chrysler spec, and you got it right there, MS 12633. I believe now Amasol also meets this or exceeds this specification. A lot of people argue the fact that it's a made-up specification to keep Pennzoil and Chrysler in business. Whatever it is, this is the oil I selected when I was doing my Scat. This gave me 4 years of great results, and I'm going to continue with those great results here. You guys can choose whatever oil you feel like choosing. It's completely up to you. Royal Purple filter. I chose the Royal Purple filter. because a few reasons. I did some research. You got the SRT filter, you got the Wix filter. There's other filters out there as well, and then you've got the Royal Purple. Okay, the Royal Purple filter has a stronger outer shell, and it also has a finer synthetic filter medium that basically will filter out 25 microns and larger particles without limiting the flow. So overall, it's a great filter. This is the one I chose for the Scat Pack. Again, it gave me 4 years of great service. So here we are putting it in the Hellcat. Again, this is your choice. You guys can choose whatever you like. Another awesome thing about these two products here is they are available on Amazon Subscribe and Save. So when bundled with the other items I have in my Subscribe and Save list, these show up at my door every 6 months at a 15% discount because I have multiple items on my Subscribe and Save. So it's a good money savings too, and they show up on time so I know when to change my oil. It's basically a very convenient combination of products here. All right guys, let's stop talking here and start changing some oil. But I want to add a few tools that I totally forgot about. We needed a 15 millimeter for the oil cooler drain plug. We needed a 7 millimeter to remove the panel that goes underneath the oil cooler drain. And we needed an adapter from 1/2 inch to 3/8 so we can use my 15 millimeter and 13 millimeter to torque down the oil drain plug bolts. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take both of those right there, and you're going to put one in the front and one in the back of the wheel. So put one in the front, one in the back of the wheel, and then kick it into place. Good job. Give it a good kick. Good. Now go ahead and do the back of the wheel. Good job. Perfect. All right, now the reason we're chocking this wheel is because we're going to jack up the opposite side of the car. When you're jacking up this car, depending on how high you go, it has a tendency to teeter a little bit. So I always chock the opposite wheel from the corner I'm starting in. Sound good? All right, grab the mag pads, the red ones, and you know what to do with the mag pad, right? You just need one right now. I'll grab this. Come on. Let's see. Okay, you see the cutout right there? Yeah. Okay, so what you do is you bring this right here and you bring it forward and just slide it right in place. Okay. Pretty cool? Yep. You know what time it is? It's time to make a whole lot of noise dragging that jack over. Come on. Oh. Let's go wake up the neighbors. Look at that. It slides right under.
Can I do it?
Hold on. Just got to kick it into place. All right, good. You want me to do it for you, bud? You're going to wind up pulling the jack out. There's a little triangle right there. Bring you in closer. Yeah. Right up under the triangle. And you're going to bring it back down again. So one of the things I love about this jack pad here is it's nice and flat. You center it where you're working. Okay. Like so. All right. Yeah, we're gonna leave the jack pad there because we have two of them and move to the other side. All right. Now that you know where to put it, right? Nice and easy. All right. Same as before. We're gonna use that little triangle right there. Lower it down. All right, let's go underneath and get that maintenance pan off. I was touching bird poop, wasn't I? Before we get started, on the top side, we're gonna crack the oil filk area, and we're just gonna leave it off to the side so nothing gets in there, and that'll allow the oil to drain faster. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the 4 maintenance pan bolts here. 1, 2, 3, 4. see all these bolts here? 3, 4, 5. Can you remove those? Next, we got to remove a bunch of clips. We got to remove all the clips that hold this pan in place. So,
we have to finish this all today.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then repeat all the way across the way.
Hold it up.
There we go. You got it?
Yep.
All right, let's bring it down. Keep all the rocks in there.
Wait, Dad, let me get all these out from under it.
You got them all?
Yep.
Here's a whole bunch more.
Okay. Should I just put them on? Which one?
Put them on the one over there. All right. All right, we're upside down. Well, we're right side up now, but you're looking at the oil pan drain plug this way. The rear of the car is that way. Okay, so we have the passenger side over there. Here's the oil drain plug right here. That's a 13 millimeter. Oil pan's nice and hot. And then over here, we have the oil cooler, and we have the plug over here. This is where it's it's a movable area. It looks like for the 19s, they have a nice clean spout where we could probably throw in a Fumoto valve. And I have to talk to them about that and see if we can make this a little bit easier. All right, so what we got to do is, first thing we're going to do is loosen this, drain that out, and then we're going to pull this, drain that out, and then we're going to pull this, drain that out, and then we're going to put it all back together again. You ready?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
All right. Got the 13 millimeter. There we go. All right, once you break it free, you're going to put the oil pan underneath. Okay, bud? Mm-hmm. And you're going to unscrew it and keep pressure on it so the oil doesn't just fly out. And once you feel that click, you just pull it straight out. Whoa. And every time we still get some on the driveway, no matter what we do. Oh, you want to wait till it drips about every 1 second? It's still dripping a little fast. We're going to make sure the Fumoto valve is closed. And we're going to pop that guy out there.
You got your hand on it.
Yep. Now this, if you put the original bolt back in, the torque specs here are 20 foot-pounds. I do not have the ability to torque this, so we're going to go snug. And that's it. So to use the Fumoto valve for draining oil, you just push it forward, push it back, and there you go. There you have your drain. And then when you're done, push it forward and it locks. Now it can't go. For those of you who are really concerned with the Fumoto valve popping open, which it won't because it is spring loaded here, you can get a clip that goes around here and holds this valve closed. Now again, this is 20 foot-pounds if you want to put the factory bolt back in. All right, now we're going to move on to the oil filter, and last but not least, the oil cooler.
So,
all right, so we're coming across to the other side. This is the passenger side of the vehicle. This is where we're going to be working next. We have the oil filter here, and we have the oil cooler drain plug right there. We're going to drain them both, and this is the fun and dirty part. Now, all right, this was really loose. Holy cow.
This is about to get all over us.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it up. Yep, there it goes. I'm going to let that drain for a minute.
And it got on. Here, can I go down your own, Dad?
Yeah, it's gonna get messy before it gets cleaner. It's just we gotta make sure we hold on to it tight.
Hold on to it tight.
The filter, because once that screw releases, down goes the filter, and then we pour it all out. There we go. All right, now can I have some paper towels? I'll wipe that off. So the last time I did an oil change, everybody yelled at me for not filling up this filter. It's not necessary, but it can't hurt because you don't want to dry start the engine. And because the oil filter goes in upside down like this, we can actually fill this up with oil, and it's not going to hurt anything, and it's not a really painful process. We just got to fill it up, let it soak in, then fill it up one more time. But we don't want to fill it up all the way. We just want to fill it up.
Why is it yellow?
That's the color of engine oil. We want to fill it up enough, and then what we do is we're going to take a little bit of that engine oil, that nice clean engine oil, and rub it around the O-ring so that O-ring is lubricated. All right, so now as it soaks in, you're going to fill it up a little bit more. So I filled it almost to the top and it went halfway. That should be good enough. And we leave a little bit at the top so it makes it a little easier for us to screw that in. We're going to wipe around the edge here to make sure it's clean. We're going to make sure the rubber gasket came off this edge over here. Now remember, the oil filter is filled with oil, so you're going to want to keep it level when you bring it back up. And make sure you don't cross thread it. Take your time, make sure it's threads smoothly. It should thread ultra smooth. There should be zero resistance when you turn. And don't spin it too quickly, because remember, we filled it up with oil. Now, as per the service manual, once we make contact, we're going to spin it 180 to seal it in place. We don't need to use a tool for this unless you can't do 180 without your hands. So I'm going to use the label right here as a marker. So the label's right here. And now the label is completely on the opposite side, and we're nice and tight. So that was a little bit more than 180 degrees because I'm used to muscling it down, but following the service manual, 180 degrees from the moment it contacts, the rubber contacts the housing. That's it. Oil filter is in. Next step, we turn a little bit forward and we come over to here for the oil cooler. So to break it free, you're going to want to grab onto this with your wrench so we hold it, because this is flexible, it moves around, and then you want to crack it free. So this one's a 15 millimeter. I'm going to use this to hold everything in place while we crack it free. Get a nice grip there. And wow, that was really loose. Interesting. Nah, that's nothing. Okay, cool. And again, we let this drain until it's one drip every second. All right, so while everything drains out, grab some Adams tire and rubber cleaner and a dish brush, and I scrub through all the plates here that are going back on the car so they're nice and clean. Just something to do while that thing drains underneath there. All right, so you want to clean and inspect the bolt and rubber washer. Everything here looks good, no debris on here. You want to wait till this is dripping about once every second. Clean it off. You can start the bolt and that'll stop the oil drippage. Then you can really do a good job cleaning around here. There you go. Screw the bolt in by hand and make sure you are not cross-threading it. Again, this is a steel bolt into aluminum. The bolt is actually harder metal, so if you go too tight, bad things can happen. We're going to snug it down, and then we're going to grab the torque wrench, because this is only 20 foot-pounds. Alright, so most torque wrenches have their indicators, and you'll notice that the indicator goes out and down. So that's how we're going to measure. So if you see here, right there, we are at 10 foot-pounds even. Spin it all the way around. Now we're at 20 foot-pounds. Line that up, tighten this down, make sure we don't go off. Okay, now we're going to put our giant torque wrench on here because I bought this for my wheels. and it serves its purpose for everything else. And there's your 20 foot-pounds. That's all she needs. Okay, once this is done, we're gonna head back up to the top of the engine and drain out our oil catch can. Oh, the GoPro decided not to record audio in this clip, so we're gonna do a little voiceover action. So amidst all this Billet technology bling is my very first item, that Billet technology catch can. This one's from the Scat Pack. It's a couple years old. You'll see that second catch can in the back over there. That one is only for the Hellcat, and it catches the driver's side blow-by. I installed the catch can recently. You can check out that video in the upper right corner now. And this has been only on for a couple hundred miles, so that's why you don't really see much oil in here. Usually after 3,000 miles, it's about 1/3 to 1/2 full. So what I do is I dump the oil with the oil to be recycled, and then when I screw the catch can back together, make sure it's snug. You don't have to muscle this down. When filling up the oil, I prefer to use a funnel. It's just a little bit easier for me. It's not totally necessary. When pouring the oil, to avoid that splashback, what you do is you hold the container the opposite way that feels natural, and that's with the spout at the top, and then just gently pour in your 6.5 quarts of oil. Alright, now that we've got the cap back on, we've got the 6.5 quarts of oil in there. And don't forget, we put a little bit of oil down in the filter down there. We're going to give the car a quick start. Let's make sure there's nothing underneath there causing any issues. Good. Fire up the car real quick. Alright, we got some decent oil pressure there. Gonna pop under the car and check for leaks. Alright. We're clear on the oil filter. Clear here. And no leaks on the oil filter. If you're doing the oil filter while the car is running, just be careful. You got all your belts right there, a couple inches away. Just, be careful. All clear. Looking good. That leaks back there, just the AC. Good to go. Alright, we're back with another voiceover. If you can guess why, drop a comment below. Now we're going to install the maintenance pan covers, and we're going to do it in the same order we removed them. You're going to see the 4 10mm bolts hold the maintenance cover for the oil pan. The remaining clips and screws are for the long front cover. This cover installs first. Speaking of clips, I want to thank everyone who commented on one of my previous videos with info on this clip pulling tool. This makes popping any clip so much easier due to the wedge design in the front. I'm going to drop a link to this tool in the description below. While we're down here putting this back together, if you guys are wondering what all those cone-shaped washers are in the front of my chin spoiler, this is the ZL1 add-ons splitter guard. In short, for those of you who don't like the yellow factory chin splitter protection guards, you can install this kit, and these cone washers backed by thick plastic will take that spoiler hit and completely protect it. Again, check the video in the upper right if you want to see what that's all about. Don't forget, we have a discount code with ZL1 add-ons as well, so you guys can save a couple bucks on your purchases. Car is down, no leaks, fully reassembled. The most important part about checking your engine oil is you need to check it at temperature. So run the car for 10 to 15 minutes, stop the car, give the car 5 minutes to settle, and then check it on level ground. So we're going to run the car for a few minutes to get all that oil cycling, and then we're going to do a check after 5 minutes with the car off. Lastly, we're going to head inside the car to reset the oil life counter. You're going to put the car in the run position without the engine running. You're going to slide over to the oil life meter on the dash. Hold OK until it resets to 100. That's it, your oil change is complete. If you guys are interested in grabbing any of the tools or supplies that I use, if you use the Amazon affiliate links below, you seriously help out our channel. You pay the same low price, but Amazon gives me some of their profits for recommending you to them. Hope this video helped you guys out. If so, please gently press that like button. If you're stopping by for the first time, check out my other content, consider subscribing, and as always, thanks for watching.